Low-quality fans of a high-quality Bruins team, welcome back. We're going to talk about the media presser that happened today with Jacobs and Neely and Sweeney. I'm mostly going to talk about what Sweeney said, but I want to chat a little bit with you guys about what's going on and what we're looking at going forward. This is not the big free agency video or anything like that. It's just trying to go over what our expectations are and what we should really think is going to happen. Because I feel like there's a lot of people saying a lot of things and what we should be doing, but it's not possible? Like, legitimately not. I mean, people are just acting like a superstar 1C is just going to fall out of the sky and suddenly be available. This isn't the NBA, man. Superstars don't just flip teams constantly. It just doesn't happen. So we're going to talk about a couple things like that. First of all, like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. Thank you to everyone who has watched all season long. Thank you to the high-quality inspectors. You are so appreciated. Thank you to the group of people who donated on the last video. Some of you an absurd amount of money, and thank you. I don't even know how to process that properly. Here's the thing. A little announcement. Every week for the offseason, we're going to live stream Thursday night. That's the deal. I think around 7 p.m.-ish, it'll be a YouTube live stream, and we will do something. We'll either chat about hockey, go through some cap-friendly, some GM Arden Chair stuff, all that good stuff. Maybe we'll play some games. I don't know. But we're going to do a live stream weekly because people have asked for live streams, and we're going to do it. And I don't know, it's an easy way to keep talking with you guys and hanging around, and I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be fun. That's why we do this in the first place. But let's talk about a couple things. The first one is from Jacobs, where he says that the current regime has his confidence. Like all of them. That means Monty is keeping his job. That means Sweeney is keeping his job. That means Neely is keeping their job. Some of you are really going to dislike that. But hear me out. We'll start with Monty. 2 years in, I don't think he has warranted a firing. I don't. He's gotten to the second round of the playoffs. He has had some scares. Obviously, the first round, we have some concerns about home ice performances, how you start the game, the current system fitting the current team, all of that. And it's all very valid and understandable. That being said, he has elevated some people's games. I think he is finding that line with this team between coaching and uplifting. I think there's a lot to still give him some runway for. 2 years is 2 tries. I think that's a little bit of a... 2 years is a long time for us, so we kind of be like, this guy's been in our lives and it hasn't worked out. 2 years is 2 tries. One of those years with a team that, should have went deep and didn't. And there's a lot of reason for that. But if you want to point a finger at Monty for some of it, you're more than welcome to do so. And one of the years with a team we weren't even sure was going to make the playoffs. So, little mixed bag. And they went further. Of course they did. Because that's hockey. So, the current regime is staying. Sweeney, I'm pretty comfortable with that. I know some people really don't like Sweeney. I think a lot of that comes from expecting him to do something that might not have been an option. Yes, you can talk about how we don't have a true 1C or 2C because we weren't prepared to get them after Bergeron and Krejci retired. Here's the thing. I kind of went back and looked at a lot of 1Cs, real 1Cs. Not like, there's less than 20 true championship caliber top line centers in the league. Like 20 or less. And almost every single one was drafted by their team. And they either got lucky in later rounds. Lucky, you should give them some credit, of course. But they either were selected in later rounds and turned out to be excellent, or they were like a top 15 pick. An area that the Bruins haven't picked in 7 years. 8 years, 9 years. God, 2015 was a long time ago. And even then, we had 3 picks in the middle of the first round. If you're still crushing Sweeney for 2015, maybe we move past that 1 year. Maybe we move past that one. I think he's doing a good job. I genuinely do. A lot of you will disagree with that. That's fine. Disagreements are part of it. But at the end of the day, I'm very comfortable with the current group continuing to lead the team. Let's get into the more important stuff. Sweeney had a lot to say. And the first thing that I want to point out is his two main priorities that he kept coming back to. Re-sign Jeremy Swayman. Duh. Hopefully, and I do not believe it'll come to this, don't let it go to arbitration. They have a number. Swayman's side has a number, and Sweeney's been known to play hardball with that number. Swayman's got a lot of leverage right now, and he is the future at that position for your franchise. Sweeney's going to have to bend the knee a little bit, and I think he knows this, and he'll play this up until he can't, trying to just get a little less money on that contract. That's him doing his job. I think Swayman respects it. I think Swayman's agent respects it. It's just the way it's going to be. Re-sign Swayman. Huge priority. We knew that already. Secondary scoring. Add secondary scoring. Some would argue that you need to add primary scoring. It's technically behind Pasternak, though, so secondary scoring kind of makes sense. DeBrusk is part of this equation, because if DeBrusk walks, you really got to find multiple guys to fill your top six. You already basically have to find a top-line center and at least one high-end middle six winger to bolster this team's chances to actually make a deep, deep run, right? There's going to be a conversation about the center that we're going to get to in a second. But if DeBrusk is no longer part of the Bruins' future, that does leave a gap. Some of you really don't like DeBrusk. Personally, I don't agree. I think DeBrusk is doing a good enough job for the money that I think he deserves. If you were to get DeBrusk for $6 million for the next 5 years, with the way the cap's rising, with the way the contracts are looking going forward, I'd be ecstatic about that. I think he's a very responsible defensive forward, and he's shown that he is scoring pop in moments. Is he streaky? Absolutely. But if you can get a consistent 20 to 25 goals from a guy along with, I don't know, 20 to 30 assists, you feel pretty good about that. That being said, Sweeney had this to say about the DeBrusk conversations, saying that they were aggressive. They were aggressive. Past tense. That's important. But when asked about it, he said, negotiation is a two-way street. We took an aggressive position with Jake. Again, past tense, we took. No different than with other players who have chosen not to re-sign and explore. That's within his right, certainly at this time of year. Do I see a path to be signed? Yeah, there's a path. I told him that in our exit interviews that they do with all the players. He's been a big part of our group. He elevated in the playoffs, which you love to see. I would prefer to have Jake DeBrusk on our team, but he has some opportunity in front of him that he may pursue otherwise, so I don't have a clear answer for you today. I know the position we've taken. We feel very comfortable, but it didn't get it to the finish line. DeBrusk's agent has a number. Sweeney has a number. Supposedly, it's distant, which is fine. Is this going to go all the way till free agency when free agency starts? There's a real possibility. I want to re-sign DeBrusk. I don't want to re-sign him for $9 million. If we're in that $6 million range, I'm really comfortable. Genuinely, I really am comfortable with that. You get to 8? It's tough. This is a tough equation, and it sounds like Sweeney's doing his usual thing. The days of hometown discounts are starting to pass us by a bit. I think that's become pretty clear. And I'm usually a player empowerment kind of guy, so I'm fine with it. The NHL makes so much stupid money. They really do. They act like they don't. They do. And the cap helps them make sure a huge portion of that goes to things other than the players. It's my biggest complaint about the cap, honestly. A player deserves to get paid for what they're doing. I think Sweeney's doing a good job here of being like, hard stop. This is what we're willing to do. And DeBrusk has to make a decision based on that. It's going to be a big blow to the team if DeBrusk doesn't re-sign. It sounds like Sweeney put the number out there and then hung up the phone. And it does sound like on the other end, they basically did the same thing. Negotiations will continue. The comment about it being a two-way street feels misleading because we're hearing things from DeBrusk camp saying, well, they haven't put something in front of us in a while. And then we're hearing Sweeney say something like that. It sounds like neither one of you are on the street right now. They will be. That will be fixed. That being said, the chance for DeBrusk walking is very real. And, again, it's a choice that he gets to make, and I'm not going to begrudge him at all if he makes it. It would be a pretty big blow. And it makes Sweeney's job harder. When it comes down to it, Sweeney wants to keep him because he knows what he has in him. And he knows that he can be useful and how he can fit him into the grand scheme of it all. Losing him just adds another maybe to the situation of adding talent around Pasternak, around Marchand, around McAvoy, around Swayman to actually get this team to the next level. We're going to have a big free agency talk. There's not as much out there as people like to believe. People like to make these statements of, you need this, this, and this. Okay, well, does this exist, right? With limited assets to trade. So we're going to move that up aside for now. We're talking free agency, available players. Does it exist? Maybe not, is the thing. Maybe that option literally isn't there. DeBrusk would be a good fit to stay with the team. We'll see if that happens. But if the goal is to add secondary scoring and DeBrusk walks, that's a blow to that exact goal. Another thing that Sweeney said was he wants to try to keep the tandem together. I disagree. I love Ullmark. He's been a great Bruin. Love Swayman, obviously. The two together keep each other fresh, keep each other competitive, and when one's slumping, the other one is always getting hot. That's how it's worked for the couple of years that they've worked together. Here's the issue. The money. People like to act like we have a ton of cap space, which we do. But if you do re-sign Swayman and DeBrusk, and you're looking for a 1C, as well as filling in 4 or 5 other roles down the lineup, that money dissipates real quick. We don't have as much money as people think we do, because 1 or 2 contracts get signed, and everyone's going to go, hold on, wait, whoa, I thought we were flush with cash. Not so much. So the money is a problem. Investing 12 plus million, potentially, in Swayman and Ullmark. The Bussy conversation, who looks to be trying to get a chance in the NHL, he becomes a waiver loss next year if there's not a role for him. I'm pretty sure someone grabs him off waivers. Because once the season starts, if he is not in the NHL, you have to waive him and put him down in the AHL, if I'm correct about this. And he's gone. There's a real asset management portion of this where you're just chucking a goalie with promise away if you keep the tandem together. Or you carry 3 goalies through the season, which turns into a whole different convoluted mess as you don't get to carry as many players as you want. I think at the end of the day, Sweeney said the phone's going to ring. He knows the phone's going to ring on Ullmark. I think his best interest is to move him. Could this team suffer because of it? Swayman gets injured or Swayman's game goes to hell? Absolutely. That's the risk you take with goalies all the time. Sometimes it becomes clear that a luxury is simply too luxurious to last. You can't eat gold-flaked caviar every meal for the rest of your life. You can't do it. Your GI system would break, and your bank would break. You have to make a choice eventually. Not to mention the extra $5 million in cap space, especially if you find someone you're really trying to spend it on. There's really some upside to trading Ullmark. There's just a lot of risk, too. I think Sweeney has the balls to make the move. We'll see what happens. And it sounds like Ullmark's probably going to have to change his mind about leaving if we get the best trade partner possible. Because, although it's a modified no movement clause, there seems to be some teams on his no trade that really want him. It's a tough scenario. My guess is Ullmark does get moved because it's the proper asset management. And this team so desperately needs more help in front of Swayman. You got to make a choice. You got to make a choice. Last thing that kind of stuck out to me. They're talking about all of this money spending and how they want to move forward, and they add the secondary scoring and make sure that we have the right personnel in net and make sure that the system fits. They mentioned this about making sure that this quality over quantity is the right course of action for this team built the way they are, which I think a lot of us at this point go, if it means you're only taking 3 shots a period, no. This team is not built for that. Are the Canes built for it? Yeah, they do the exact opposite. But if they decided to go for a quality over quantity approach, they are absolutely built for that. The Rangers are built for that. The Stars are built for that. The skill and speed, and we don't have the speed, and we don't have the high-end talent for it. That might change next year, but there is a degree of the system might need adjustments. That's fine. That's Monty's job. So we're talking about all this money, but then a thought occurs. We have a ton of money this year, but no true star 1C available. Your best option as far as free agents go is Elias Lindholm, who I have said before is a 2C on a championship team, in my opinion. But what do I know? I'm wearing a friggin' Seals sweater. Next year, Draisaitl might be available. There's no guarantee on that, and I think it would be insane if he even made it to free agency. He will become the highest paid player in the league. I would love to make him the highest paid player in the league as a Boston Bruin, because him, next to Pasternak, would absolutely make me cream my pants. And I think that's very fair, and I think it would make you too. It would be like a whole Boston-wide thing. We get real messy. Does Sweeney go all in, fill up the cap next year with this team, with pieces that he may like but does not love? Or does he roll the dice and see if a superstar is available next summer? Or does he middle ground this and do a bunch of short-term deals again that he knows he can shuffle around if he needs to try to get Draisaitl? As much as I feel like that third option is very realistic, I would caution against this at all. I wouldn't overspend on free agents who just don't make sense. This team might not have the route to be a Super Cup contender next year again. It really might, that path might not exist depending on the circumstances. It really might not, because the personnel just might not be available. Reality of the situation. I don't want to see us land Lindholm but spend $10 million a year for the next 8 years on him. That would be insane to me. And would be something so unbelievably crippling for the long-term outlook of the franchise that I don't even want to think about it. Getting these free agents and signing them to huge deals long-term just to make sure you get them is not Sweeney's MO. It's not something he's going to do. So when you miss out on a player or two and you look at it and go, why the hell didn't we do that? Well, look at it a couple years down the road. There might be some deals handed out that we go, what the hell? Kind of reminds you of the Hurdle thing. The fact that Vegas was able to get him, I'm sitting there going, how the hell did we not do that? How did we not do that? I don't know what's happening behind closed doors. So there's a real possibility that we never even had the option. There's going to be a couple of deals this summer where you go, how the hell were we not in on that? We might not have even had the option to be in on it. I'm just building in excuses now for whenever people are disappointed. But I would really caution against these huge deals for guys that aren't going to live up to them. Because at the end of the day, people like to talk about businesses. You talk about DeBrusk, someone's going to say, well, it's a business. Tough tits. Totally agree. But business comes with reality. And there's not always a ton of options to fill in holes that oftentimes teams have to suffer for years to replace these guys. Some for decades, unfortunately. I believe in the current structure of the Bruins. I think we have pieces that are going to be fantastic. Lohrei and Patra. I think Frederick's going to continue to grow. I want to re-sign DeBrusk. Obviously, Pasternak and McAvoy are great. Lindholm, hopefully he kind of has a bounce-back year. There's just players on this team. But a little more high-end talent is so desperately needed. I don't know if it fully exists in the free agency market. We're going to get to that. It's just a tough sell right now to just go, oh, just do this. It's just not that simple. So I like what Sweeney said through this. I like what Neely said through it, and I like that they're dissecting all of it, even the system that the team is playing. And it also goes to say the confidence they have in the coach, where they go, hey, this is the coach's system. But this coach is willing to adjust it a little bit because he tried this. And he doesn't think that with his current personnel, it's going to work the way you want it to. So, all in all, I thought it was a pretty decent kind of breakdown of what the team's looking at. And I think Sweeney has his finger on the pulse. He's going to do what he can. Not all of it's going to be possible from the eyes of the fans, but it just is what it is. And don't hold out hope for Draisaitl. There's no way he's going to be available next year. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But we can believe. Anyway, that does it for me. I just wanted to chat and ramble about this. Go Bees. Go Bees!